Mr. Happy Living here, and I'm happy to be broadcasting from WYTV7 in the beautiful Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina, USA. Hey, friends, come and join me for a moment and imagine how magnificent you'd feel living the unique and distinct life that you were put on this planet to live, doing work you love, with people you love, in places you love, and all the while creating something of real value to others. Well, that's what I call a life of significance. And I can tell you it makes a very happy life. And so can my friend, Cindi Bergen. And she's here to share her unique and distinct journey to her life of significance. But before we bring her on, I'd like to share a poem that we created to thank her for being our guest star today. We're calling it The Shift That Changes Everything. And it goes like this. Some people wait for happiness like weather rolling in. But Cindi learned a deeper truth. Real change begins within. Not perfect days, not flawless skies, not circumstances rearranged, but a quiet turning of the heart where everything feels changed. She doesn't fight the storm outside, she steadies what's inside. Feel it, listen, intervene, let positive light be your guide. 4 simple steps, a practiced art, a disciplined reframing, and in that sacred inner shift, life stops the blaming. From boardrooms to living rooms, from stress to steadiness of mind, she bridges science and spirit, so peace is what we find. And if your thoughts have felt too loud and fear too heavy to outrun, lean in close, stay with us now, the healing's just begun. Because happiness isn't something that fate will someday bring. It rises when we choose the shift that changes everything. Hey, Cindi, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Matt. That was lovely. Can I get a copy of it?
Yes, of course. Of course. Why don't you get us started by telling us what you're doing these days to make your mark of significance on the world?
So what I'm doing to make my mark of significance today really centers around one central theme, which is we're better in every way when we're happy. And we're so steeped in negativity that we often don't realize we're having negative thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So through my company, I teach classes, give presentations, and coach individuals using research from neuroscience and positive psychology. In my book, First Create Happiness and the Rest Will Follow, I outline my core teachings, which are strategies that are proven scientifically to decrease negativity, increase positivity, and share the good through gratitude and kindness. I also share monthly themes on social media that center around happiness, themes like authenticity, self-love, and gratitude. I believe happiness isn't just one decision, it's an ongoing practice.
Yeah.
So what lights me up is when I watch people realize they are not broken. Most of us were never taught how to regulate emotion, how to work with our thoughts, or how to consciously cultivate positive thoughts. So we think something is wrong with us when we struggle.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with us. We just need training.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Tell our audience about the flip it process. What does that mean? Flip it.
So I developed Flip It based on well, I was living in corporate America at the time, and acronyms were were the language of the world. And so I started thinking about what was one thing that had helped me through my process. And it was shifting my thought about anything. So Flip It stands for feel, listen, intervene, and promote the positive. So first you need to recognize that you're having a negative thought or you're having a negative feeling about something. Then you listen to what's your internal dialogue and recognize faulty thinking, okay? And then you intervene. So first of all, look at, what are the facts? And then start asking yourself positive questions like, what could I learn here? Or what's the gift in this? And when I get to that point, I usually laugh at myself and go, "Oh my gosh, Cindi, what were you thinking?"
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
promote the positive.
Yeah. Yeah. So many of the things the thoughts that we have in our head, I've thought a lot about this too, being 10 years, 11 years now in the happiness business as you are. The worry and all of the negativity that runs through our brains almost never, ever happens. It's all made up. Almost all of it is made up.
Yep, yep,
And yet we treat it like it's real, and we get all sad because this horrible thing's about to happen that is just a made up stream of consciousness in
exactly.
our mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we waste so much time, energy, and energy just worrying about something that probably is never going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So one more question on this. What happens, I think you read, or I read in your book, when gratitude becomes communal rather than private? What happens when we express gratitude and we make it a part of the community?
That gratitude and kindness it ripples out. Science has proven that when someone witnesses or an act of kindness, that not only is the person who gives it and receiving it benefit from it, but anyone who witnesses the act.
Yep.
It then ripples out, and people end up, being more kind. You
Yeah.
think you read the story in my book about the guy that went and was in line to get coffee, and he paid for the person behind them, and that went on for 4 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a beautiful thing. And we're going to
Mhm.
talk more about that a little later on as well. So, well, thank you, Sydney, for that. And now let's do a little mathematics so our friends all around the world get to know you through our happy formula. It's a really simple formula, but it's very powerful too. And it goes like this: power plus purpose equals happy. So let's start with power, Cindy. I think I just called you Sydney. Sorry. What are your personal practices for building up the power you need to get things done, whether it's physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, emotionally? In other words, Cindy, what do you do on a regular basis to create the power you need to take really good care of yourself and your loved ones and still have plenty of juice left over so you can be a giver to others?
I'm very protective about my mental and emotional states because our nervous system is constantly absorbing signals. So I meditate, even if it's
Mm,
just for 10 minutes, first thing in the morning and right before I go to bed at night,
mm,
because I want to feed my brain positive things, right?
yep, yep,
I don't listen to I try to stay away from the news and from
mm,
any negative content because our brain encodes imagery as experience. And if I am flooding my system with chaos, then that's reflected in my outer world, and I don't
yep,
want.
yep,
I try to be out in nature as much as possible because it totally soothes my monkey brain.
yeah.
Yeah. And I'm intentional about community. So I co-founded a women's circle.
Ah,
Yeah, and we meet once a month and talk about spiritual topics. And the authenticity in that group feeds my soul more than any kind of productivity ever could.
yeah,
Yeah. So I feel like power for me is nervous system stability.
yeah.
And when we're emotionally regulated, we make better decisions emotionally, financially, relationship wise.
You're stronger.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
those small habits, if we're doing it daily, they build over time.
Well, that takes us right into the next topic, which is my favorite power generating concept called a Kaizen state of mind. And it's based on this beautiful Japanese idea that small incremental improvements add up over time to yield great big results. And it's powerful because it's all about mindset, not circumstance. Kaizening life is knowing I can always do something better tomorrow than today. And it creates this gentle, relentless, never ending power that keeps lifting me higher and higher day after day after day. So, Cindy, how does Kaizening your life help you continue to increase your power to become more so you can continue giving more and impacting even more lives?
Every time I teach, I learn from my students.
Mm-hmm.
And researching for my social media posts helps me uncover the latest science. So because I'm constantly researching and refining, my materials evolve. What I deliver to the world changes as I change.
Yeah.
And personal growth has been part of my life. It's like I figure when I stop growing, I won't be around anymore.
That's right.
And the other thing is happiness research is expanding rapidly. Even since I wrote my book, which was 5 years ago, there's more information about neuroplasticity, gratitude practices, and emotional regulation. The other thing is the more of this work I do, the more I realize that every obstacle to our happiness is a doorway to more freedom and joy. If you're willing to walk up to the obstacle and walk through it, there's
Yeah.
more joy on the other side of it. I know I'm a testament to that.
Yeah. No, that's right. I think about this sometimes when we have troubles, especially as you know, I've been around for almost 65 years now. And if when you look back at your life, there's been lots of ups and downs, and the ups aren't sustainable and the downs aren't sustainable. So if you can get a grasp of that, you realize if you're going through a down time, I start to think about, okay, what can I learn? How can I get through this better? Maybe it does suck right at the moment, but I can take it as a challenge to say, can I do this better than I did the last time I was stuck in this mess? And all of a sudden, everything shifts. And I think that's what you're talking about with your mindset and with the inside science stuff I don't know the words for, but that's what you're talking about, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I believe that every problem that we're presented with, whether it's a crisis in your life or simply your boss doesn't say hello to you in the morning,
Right.
are things that our soul brings to us so that we can refine and become better,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? They're
Yeah.
just a challenge. They're not a huge problem. They're something that we just need to walk through.
Yeah.
So instead of asking why is this happening to me, ask what's the capacity that I'm building here.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
interviewed a guy just about a month ago, and he was at the top of his physical game, 6'5", 245-pound champion rugby player for UC Berkeley, and he got hit by an illegal hit and instantly paralyzed all four of his limbs and told he'd never ever walk again. And he came on the show and he basically said, not basically, he did say, I wouldn't change a thing because I've learned and I'm able to reach people. And so, gosh, if he can take that attitude, how
Exactly.
can I have a bad day if my van breaks down? Big whoop. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And you hear those kinds of stories all the time.
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox,
Yeah.
and there's just so many stories about that, about people having huge crises, and then they say, I wouldn't give it up for anything,
And
you
so
know?
that's a part of the flip. That's when you say, tell me flip again?
Feel,
Yeah.
listen, intervene,
Yeah. So
promote the positive.
that's the intervene,
That's the
right? That's
intervene.
the intervene saying, okay, let's put this in perspective. I can
Right.
handle it. Matter of fact, I'm so fortunate that I have the skills to deal with this because before I wouldn't have been able to. Um, Very good. All right, let's move on to purpose. That's the second part of our happy formula. And I've observed that those great big life transformations and discovery of purpose often come from devastation. Addiction, abuse, disease, death, disaster, some horrible thing strips a life to its core, resulting in a big and often unexpected change. However, in my book, Turning Inspiration into Action, I share the transformational process that I've used to discover the purpose of my life using inspiration. So how about you, Cindi? Was there a specific moment or event or crisis or inspiration that revealed to you the unique and distinct purpose you were meant to live?
Well, I have more than one. I have a few more years on me than you do. So,
That's fine.
so the first was when I was 13 and my dad died. And I
Okay.
remember having the thought at 13, I better live for today because there may not be a tomorrow.
Did
And
he die? Did he die suddenly, or was it a surprise, or was it a
it was,
disease?
he had leukemia and cancer of the spleen.
Okay.
So, but we found out about 3 months before he passed. So it was pretty quick.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And that was back in the 60s. And we
Yeah.
didn't talk about grief.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
it wasn't a
That's
thing.
correct. Go to
And,
school.
yeah, we were told
Uh-huh.
to buck up and be strong for our mother because we had lost my little brother a year before that.
Oh my
And my
gosh.
mother was emotionally bereft, you
Yeah.
can imagine
Yeah.
losing a child and a husband. So myself and my siblings were told to buck up and be strong for our
Hmm.
mother. So we all internalized our own grief.
Hmm.
And I dealt with it for many years in ways that numbed rather than healed. I wasn't
Hmm.
reckless, but I was hurting. And then when I was 34 and I became pregnant with my son, I had another aha moment that was, I don't want to pass on this emotional mess that I am.
Mm,
So I started into therapy, and
mm,
therapy led to
mm.
spiritual exploration, and spiritual exploration led to science. Um, and then during a dark night of the soul, I heard somebody say, just get happy and the rest will follow.
Mm.
And that sounded really simplistic to me at the time, but it actually led to it sparked my interest in the science of happiness. And the
Yeah.
more I studied, the more I studied neuroscience, quantum physics, and positive psychology, the more I realized it was positive emotional states were when we were all at our best. And that's when my passion really crystallized. And I eventually led to classes in my book.
Yeah. And at what point did you realize that this was more than just self-help for you, but that it was something that you needed to teach to other people?
I think that it was almost like I was born into it. I come from a family of teachers, and at the time I was working in the training industry in corporate America. So it was just a natural evolution for me to want to help others through teaching. So
Hmm.
that's what I did. I ended up, as I said, Kaizen, refining and
Yeah.
refining and
Yeah.
refining materials the more I learned. And it eventually led to the three: decrease negativity, increase positivity, and share the good. That's in my book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said with the voice, how did you respond to that voice? What did you not everybody gets voices like that changes their lives. So when you heard that voice say, first create happiness and the rest will follow, what did you do with that?
I believed it. I believed that. But like I said, it sparked my interest in that there's got to be some science around this. I'm very spiritual, but I like the validation of science.
Hmm.
So, it's like it validates my playing with the fairies.
Hmm.
And so that was just what it sparked. It sparked my interest in there's got to be some science around this. And so I just started studying.
Yeah, and when you said first create happiness, I recall in my life, long before happy living ever came around, when I was a little kid running around, always smiling. And people they would ask me, why are you always smiling? And my response always was just, well, why not? Why can't we be happy? And I think we're meant to be happy. And then culture just rips all the happiness out of us until we walk around sad. And then it's this rediscovery that you have to, people like you, teach others to say, no, it's okay. You can play with fairies if you want.
In every way, we're better. So you're reminding me of a quote by a woman by the name of Candace Pert. She was a pharmacologist and a neuroscientist who discovered the opioid receptor. And in her book, she says, we are hardwired for bliss
Yeah.
because, in every way we function in every way so much better when we're in a positive state of mind. It doesn't have to be joy jumping around, always smiling all the time. It can be interest, it can be contentment, it can be
Yeah.
serenity, it's any kind of positive emotion, which
Creativity.
literally opens our brain so that we can think better.
Yeah, creativity, I think, is a big one. When you're creative, when I'm creative, there's no way I can be sad. It's just no,
Exactly.
you're just all engaged, and it's just good. All right, Cindi, thank you very much for that. Let's take a quick commercial break so our sponsor can spread a little love with our audience.
Kits for Kids are materials handed out by first responders to children during emergencies. The goal of distributing these kits is to mitigate the emotional trauma children experience during distressing events. These kits also help foster positive interactions between first responders and children, building trust and reducing anxiety. These kits feature toys and activities for children to engage with, providing distractions and stimulation. Models of first responder vehicles help children familiarize themselves with emergency personnel. Additionally, the kits include noise-canceling headphones and raincoats to help comfort children during distressing events. You can directly support Kits for Kids in several ways, including donating directly or sponsoring fundraising, volunteering your company for team building, or referring a law enforcement or first responder department to receive kits. Thank you for your support. Please visit www.wytv7.org for more information.
Are you ready to transform your life? At happyliving.com, we've discovered 4 keys to help you live with purpose, joy, and significance. Unlock your truth with the Happy Quiz. Unlock your happy formula with inspiring stories from the Something Significant Show. Unlock your roadmap to happiness with our free ebook, Making Your Mark of Significance. And unlock your inspired life with our life-changing e-course, The Philosophy of You and Your Inspired Life. This is your time to shine. Go to happyliving.com now and click Unlock the Power of You. Unlock your power. Live your best life. happyliving.com.
And we're back, and this is the Something Significant Show, and I'm your host, Matt Gersper. And my special guest star today is Cindi Bergen. She's a corporate learning strategist turned happiness architect whose journey from performance-driven achievement to purpose-driven transformation reshaped her life. After years in global leadership roles, Cindi discovered that success without inner alignment falls short. Now, with her first Create Happiness platform and her Flip It process, she helps people shift from negativity to intentional joy, proving that real change begins within. Cindi, I just love how you transform lives from mundane to magical. And I think you're going to love this article that I found called The Science Behind the Power of Giving. It revealed something truly powerful, that the simple act of giving can become a gateway to discovering your reason for being on the planet. Science confirms that when we give our time, talents, and treasure, it doesn't just help others, but it transforms us too. Giving helps us to rise above obstacles, helps us to find meaning, and it even helps us discover our purpose. So I updated our formula. Power plus purpose plus giving equals really happy. So how about you, Cindi? Has giving your time, talents, and treasure been a powerful pathway for discovering your purpose and for getting through hardships and for bringing real, true meaning into your life?
Yeah, it's definitely given deeper meaning to my life. I remember one time in an online class, I worked with a woman who had immigrated to the United States from what's the Czech Republic now. When she was growing up, it was Czechoslovakia. She struggled with feeling dismissed and undervalued when she moved to the U.S. because her credentials didn't transfer properly.
Right.
But through the Flip It process, she realized that not valued feeling didn't begin here in the U.S. It traced back to her childhood when she was raised in a country where individuality wasn't encouraged. When she realized that, there was this visible moment of relief. She wasn't flawed. She was carrying an old narrative. That's what gives meaning to me, is helping someone separate who they are from the story they've been carrying. I have a question for you. Have you ever heard of the Japanese, I think it's pronounced kintsugi?
No.
It's the practice of taking broken pottery and repairing it with lacquer mixed with either gold, silver, or platinum powder. And that's what I feel my Flip It process does, is that it allows people to see the gold in the issue they've been having.
You just gave me goosebumps. The Japanese are so clever. I mean, isn't that a brilliant thing, creating beauty out of the brokenness?
Well, their culture is thousands of years old, right? And ours is
yeah.
only a couple hundred years old. So
Yeah. And your story about the young Czech lady, think about that. Happens a lot. You hear stories about a medical doctor immigrates from a foreign country, and he's here and working as a janitor. And some of those people can, they're just as beautiful and happy and grateful to be, because they escaped something, and they live it well and maybe become doctors again, or maybe not. And others struggle with it. So that's still same circumstance, a different response to it. And I think that's what you're teaching is it's not what you're going through, it's how you respond to it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I see someone reclaim that emotional life, reclaim agency over their emotional life, that's a sacred moment to me.
Yeah.
That's what really gives me, helps me understand that I'm living my purpose, you know?
That's, yep. And so that's the science. The science says giving brings meaning to our lives, what you're just expressing. And the joy that we feel when we're creating value for others confirms it. But there's something deeper at work, Cindi. I believe the magic of life comes when we're giving from living in our purpose, because that's where the joy doesn't just touch the receiver, but as you mentioned earlier, it flows to the giver too, and even to all those who are witnessing the giving. And something else happens there. Fear loosens its grip, self-focus shrinks, peace grows steadier, and hope grows stronger. And it all comes from aligning with purpose and becoming more so we can give more. So, Cindi, I'd like the audience to witness what that magic looks like in your life. So please sit back, my friend, open your heart and have a listen to what people are saying about the impact that you're making in their lives by giving from living in your purpose. One person said, experiencing Cindi's work is like being handed a compass you can keep using again and again as life unfolds. Another said, her ability to reflect the light back at people, to highlight for them their strengths, power, and potential is inspiring. Another said, Cindi has changed my life and taught me how to heal from trauma, identify what my body needs to feel safe and calm, and provided the foundations for my soul to heal. I'm forever grateful for her. Others said, I absolutely love her book. Cindi doesn't just teach happiness, she models it. Compassionate, enthusiastic, a fantastic coach, a great communicator, an incredible organizer, simply a joy to work with, extremely positive, generous, and thoughtful, gentle, soulful, passionate, intuitive, practical, powerful, high energy, enlightened, transformative, supportive, technical, and well-researched. Her best quality is her positive attitude. She is the best, a great instructor. She walks her talk. I literally use Cindi's flip it technique on a daily basis. Listening to her is like sitting across from a wise friend who believes in your capacity for joy and then gives you the tools to make it real. And finally, this person said, Cindi is someone I admire deeply, and I'm so happy to call her my sister friend. So, Cindi, how does all that incredible love make you feel?
Uh, I want a copy of this so when I'm really having a bad day, I can reread it and go, oh, somebody still loves me. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, folks. We're here, Cindi and me and all our guest stars, to encourage you, because the way Cindi was reacting there, when you're living in your purpose, you're spinning off goodness, you don't even realize it. And so we're here to encourage you, listeners, to find that same magic in your own life, because it's available for you, it's available for everyone, and it comes from this great big happy circle. Giving your time, talents, and treasures is a powerful pathway for discovering your purpose. And then giving from being in your purpose brings a deep joy to you, which is worth pursuing, but also to all those around you too. So it seems giving leads to purpose and giving from purpose leads to joy. So Cindi, to completely capture the exponential power of our happy formula, I've got to tweak it a tiny bit more to power times purpose times giving equals happy to the third power. And that's really, truly, deeply happy. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't think it's just available. I think we're meant to live our purpose. I think we're supposed to be here doing what fulfills us, and in fulfilling ourselves, it fulfills everyone else, and that ripples out. I mean, I know that this woman that I worked with from the Czech Republic, she regulated her own life and then started teaching her family, which then goes into the community, into the world. So I truly believe that we're changing the world one person at a time.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I do the same shtick. And I'm talking with somebody who's, a beautiful woman. We interviewed her. She lost her 21-year-old daughter to fentanyl poisoning. Instant. And so I'm talking about power plus purpose equals really happy. No, that's not, she's not happy. it's hard for her to be happy, but she found purpose in this part of her life that was thrust upon her, and she's helping other people. So it's really it's like a profound sense of importance, maybe more than happiness. But it comes from doing what you are meant to be doing and using the gifts that you've been given to the best of your ability. And when you're doing that, even the bad stuff you can push through because it has meaning.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, it may not seem like a big deal to you because it's so natural, but it is a gift, right? It is a gift and it's meant to be shared. And the more that we share it, the more, I think that, then the universe responds to giving us more opportunity to share it.
Yeah. I think that's the lesson I've learned. I would like people to hear is when you find that gift, do everything you can to build your life around it. And do more and more and more every day. And that's where you're going to make the biggest impact in the world. And that's where you're going to find the most happiness and joy, because you're using your uniqueness to help others. And it's funny, I've got a daughter, she's my youngest daughter is a brilliant artist, but she doesn't see it. And she can sit and doodle something to say, holy smokes, so when you're good at something, you don't necessarily understand it. You think everybody is like that, but it's not that way. Find your gift and frame your life with it if you can.
Right. And it doesn't have to be in an entrepreneurship, sort of context. It can be in corporate America. You can be giving. I mean, I taught my class multiple times in corporate America. So as I was an employee. So, I don't think it has to be as an entrepreneur. It can be in any capacity. It's the idea of, I ran across research where this guy said, are you doing, let's see, what is it? A job, a career, or calling, and you can turn your job into a calling if you choose to look at it in a way that you're giving to others, right? In the way that you're fulfilling your own purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. All right, let's wrap things up with the lightning round. I love the quiet power of words and the way the right quote can meet us in moments of reflection or in times of stress or even in the space between reaction and response. And so I prepared for our conversation. As I've done that, a handful of quotes have bubbled to the surface, not just because they're beautiful, but because they mirror your work, reframing thought patterns, choosing intention over impulse, and practicing the discipline of happiness, even when life feels hard. So I'm going to read each to you and then ask you to share the very first thoughts that come to your mind. No rehearsing, no polishing, just steady, intentional truth. Ready?
Ready.
Okay, let's start by considering two quotes side by side, because on the surface, they sound almost identical, but I suspect you'll say they're not. The first is Viktor Frankl. He wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." And then Mary Engelbreit said, "If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change the way you think about it."
I think they pretty much say the same thing. It's our perspective. It's how we choose to look at life. We can choose to look at it in a positive frame or a negative frame. And, Viktor Frankl, there's your example of being in an unbelievably horrible situation, and yet he turned it into gold.
Yeah. Incredible story.
Yeah.
Very good. This is from the Dalai Lama. He said, "Happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions."
Absolutely. Absolutely. So one of the things I teach is a woman by the name of Sonia Lyubomirsky. She's a happiness researcher at a university in California. And she said that, 50% of our capacity for happiness is genetic, they found this out by studying identical twins, and that whether they were raised together or apart, their capacity, not necessarily how happy they are, but their capacity for happiness is the same. We always think that if I get a divorce or get a new job or buy that new house, then I'll be happy. But only 10% of our capacity for happiness is based on our environment. And that's because of hedonic adaptation, which is the idea that we get used to whatever situation we're in, you know. 40% of our capacity for happiness is intentional activity. It's how we choose to respond to anything that happens in our life. And that's what I teach. My teaching is all around that 40% of intentional activity.
Yeah. You know, the founding fathers in the Declaration of Independence said basically what you were talking about. You said hedonic, what did you say?
Adaptation.
Adaptation. The quote was, I won't get it exactly right, but it says, all mankind are basically going to stay in their current situation as long as it's tolerable than to try something new, which is horrible. Tolerable is not a way to live, folks.
Well, it's that discomfort. We get, you know, change is uncomfortable, right? So we all want to be in happy all the time. We all want to be not in comfort. So we stay in that comfort zone and don't allow ourselves to grow, to expand.
Yeah.
All
right. This is from Sarah Young. She said, living well is both a discipline and an art.
I absolutely believe it's a discipline. It's a practice. It's something that I tell my students at the end of my class, you know, this is not a happy pill. This is something you have to do every single day, because the science has proven that we have what's called a negativity bias, which means because we, you know, when we came out of the caves, it was, it benefited us to pay more attention to the negative than the positive, because it what's kept us alive, right? So we have to rewire those neural pathways to pay more attention to the positive than to the negative.
And the way you rewire them is by repetition.
Yeah.
Repeating thoughts, repeating action, repeating behavior,
Yeah. And I come across recent research that says that it's actually more effective to decrease negativity than it is to just pile positivity on top of it. So people who do affirmations or things like that all the time, it may have a benefit, but if you don't get rid of the negative first or rewire it, then it's just not going to help.
Yeah. All right. This is our show anchor. It comes from Goth, and he said, whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now.
Absolutely. I've seen that quote and I love that quote. And it's that getting through the discomfort of, you know, I know it took me years, literally years, to rewire my brain to believe that I could write a book. You know, it was like, I had all this negative self-talk about, who do you think you are? You're not a scientist, blah, 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 you know, on and on. And so it took me a long time to believe that I had something to give to the world.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've gone through that. Yeah,
that's what our culture does to us. And it just stops. Well, I wrote a book about it. That's what turning inspiration into action is all about, is when you have these thoughts, you got to protect them. I think you got to discern if they're real or not. And that's a part of the process that I use. It says you might be attracted to somebody playing music on a Saturday night. And you might, one of the stories I wrote is I saw a guy land a seaplane on my lake, in my lake house right in front of me. This was right when I was writing my book. I thought, you got to be kidding me. That is so cool. Man, I started thinking I should get a seaplane. I'll become a pilot. And I started doing all this crazy stuff in my mind. I'm saying, Matt, first of all, you're not even a good driver, let alone a pilot. It'd be very dangerous. And so I was attracted to that, but it's not important to me. And I was attracted to writing the book, and it's important. I could back it up with all kinds of reasons that I wanted to bring that into my life. And so that I call that anchoring the power of the inspiration to my heart. And when you anchor it to your heart, you'll hold on to it tighter. So I think when you have those thoughts, you got to say, okay, is this for me or is it not for me? And even the inspirations that are not for you, you might see a guy playing music and you were inspired to in your mind of when you were playing in high school, and you say, oh, no, it's not really important. But you can still say to that guy, I really admire your playing. So you can still even use your inspirations, even if not for you, to share them with somebody else.
Right. It's got to be a strong enough inspiration to sustain you for the long term.
and
right?
to stop the chatter,
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
to overcome the chatter. And that's, we talk about devastation. That's why devastation works. If somebody steals your child and you say, "Oh, Cindi, you're not smart enough to go and find this," you don't listen to that anymore. You'll walk right through fire. So the trick is you have to create the same power that you would walk through fire for devastation for
Right.
something positive, and then you don't have to
Right.
walk through the fire.
Because there's
It's
even
much
though
better.
even though you're following your passion, there's always going to be obstacles that you have to get
Right.
through, right?
Right. All right, Cindi, thank you for answering those quotes and for responding the way you did. Um, so for the person that's listening right now, who knows that they need to shift, but they feel like they're stuck, what would you say to them? How should they begin? What's the first small step somebody should do if they are listening to you? They say, "I want to live a magical life, not a mundane one." What's my first step?
Believe that you can do it.
Hmm.
Believe in yourself enough that you can shift it. Prioritize your own happiness, because when if you're not prioritizing your own well-being, you don't have anything to give anybody else,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I mean, I think we all intuitively know that we're better when we're in a positive state of mind, but we don't prioritize it. We look at happiness as dessert, as something that happens after we've done everything else, right? But I think happiness should be the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And research shows that when we cultivate positive states, everything improves. And I imagine this at scale.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what if 30% of the population changed the way they think to more positivity? How would that impact your life, your relationships, you know, your friendships, your family, your coworkers? And eventually, I mean, I believe it ripples out. I mean,
Yeah, it does.
you know, I mean, that's why you ask, you know, what caused you to want to share it? It was like, I felt so much relief, so much better, that I wanted to share that with the people that I cared about, you know?
Yeah, and I think there's really magic to that. We talk about that last part of the formula, adding giving. If you're at home and you're feeling like you want to do something that's bigger than you can imagine, if you do it for a selfish purpose, that's one thing. But if you are doing it to gain capacity so you can make somebody else's life better, that gives you more power. And so I think that adding that giving part to your whatever your purpose is can give you the strength to walk the extra mile and to go through the hard times, because you are going to go through them. We all do. But if you're doing it for a purpose, then it makes it easier.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, and when you take that first step, then things just start coalescing, right? They start happening.
I think that's another important fact. I'm glad you said that, because as soon as you make the decision, you'll feel better.
Yeah.
As soon as you say, "I'm going to do it. I'm not going to listen to my brain anymore. I'm going to do this," and you'll feel better. And what the thing that I know, you know this, the universe will start to recognize that, and it will help you. Circumstances
Absolutely.
will help you. People will help you, because they see that, "Oh, Matt, you want to start learning how to play the trombone. I have a friend who," and all of a sudden we've got a connection, because I was public that I wanted to become a musician.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Do you play?
No, that was just no, gosh,
Oh,
no.
that's a metaphor. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. That was just for the audience. If I played, there would be nobody to listen. All right, Cindi. Well, thank you for all that. And now, friends, if Cindi's story has inspired you, if it lifted your spirit and encouraged you to begin transforming your life from mundane to magic, then I invite you to share that energy with our incredible team at WITV7 who make this show possible. They're a 501c3 charity on a mission to educate, empower, and encourage people in need. Every gift matters, big and small. With your support and their tireless work, lives are being transformed and our circle of love keeps expanding. So donate today, because it'll do good and it'll make you feel good too. Cindi, I love your steadiness, the way you refuse to let happiness be accidental, but teach that it's a disciplined practice. And I admire your courage to bridge science and spirit without apology, and to stand in both research and reverence, and how you make transformation feel practical and possible. And I'm super happy that you've shared your intentional, illuminating, and inspiring spirit on our show today. Will you please take a moment or two and share any parting remarks you'd like to leave with our audience?
Yeah. So my invitation to the audience is simple. Don't wait for your life to improve before you prioritize your own happiness. Build that skill now. Walk toward the obstacle because that's where the freedom is. And love yourself enough to begin today.
That's great advice. Thank you, Cindi. And friends, it's because of stories like Cindi's and listeners like you that we've been named one of the top 100 life purpose podcasts worldwide, ranked at number 17. So thank you. I appreciate your support for our mission and for sharing these stories of inspiration and purpose. I also want to thank WITV7 for hosting and promoting our show so we can keep interviewing inspiring guest stars like Cindi and reaching folks just like you, ready to create your own extraordinary lives. And most especially, thank you, viewers and listeners. You'll find links to social media and all things Cindi Bergen. Find her, friend her, explore her first Create Happiness programs, learn about her Flip It process, and pick up her book, Create Happiness, and the rest will follow. You'll find all of it in our show notes, because happiness isn't accidental, it's cultivated. From me to you, dear friends, I love you, and I want you to be really, truly, deeply happy too. So go to happyliving.com right now and click Unlock Here and start unlocking the life that you are meant to live, one that's filled with purpose and joy and real significance. And once you start unlocking, think about what we can do together, you and me, to improve the happy of your world, one person at a time. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome. And this is the Something Significant Show.
Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome. And we're out.